Oh my God, we're live, and it's noon on Wednesday, December 22nd, the day my Social Security check arrived. And this is news that you can use from YAA with your hosts, Zach and Ray. How you today, handsome?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good, Pops. The holiday time is a fun time of year. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. How about yourself?
Well, other than the fact that there's a small craft wind advisory here at the shore, and my apartment feels like it's about 12 degrees, and it sounds like a freight train's going through it with the wind. Other than that, it's lovely here.
Indeed,
Yeah.
indeed. Justice is with us. Jordan is here with us. Javid, Jimmy, Neil's with us here this morning as well, Pops. So we got a good show. We've got an interesting show. The title and what we're going to focus a little bit here at the beginning is around electric vehicles. There were some new regulations or some new requirements that are being proposed by the EPA that we're going to touch on. We've also done in the past, Justin on the YA team wrote that article about OEM investments into EVs. And we've got the federal fleet of cars is going to be entirely EVs in the future. So the title of today's live stream is like, why is the U.S. government dead set on us having EVs? I think it'll be an interesting conversation. And then, Pops, you shared with me this morning, and I think we'll do a deeper dive into it tomorrow, but dealer profits went to levels that we'd never seen before in November. So we'll touch on that today. We have to. We also have quite a few things that we're going to talk about on the F&I side, and then a lot of really you've got to be kidding me. I didn't even cue you up for the really you got to be kidding me, but there's a lot that we're going to cover today there. There's a lot to laugh about.
There certainly is, I believe, and the fact that the high wind advisories are deep inside my condo. Okay. So if you suddenly see pillows and stuff blowing past my head, it's only because the gusts got out of control.
So let's kick things off, Dad, with the EPA. Okay, let's start our conversation there. I'll share my screen just so we can all take a peek at the article, and then I'll kick it over to you. But the headline from Automotive News, this was from the other day: EPA finalizes tougher new vehicle emissions requirements. The new rule finalized Monday is tougher than the EPA's August proposal or earlier requirements issued by the Obama administration. If I come down here, where was the big meaty piece of this? If expressed in miles per gallon requirements, the EPA rules would result in a fleet-wide average of about 40 miles per gallon in 2026 versus the 38 miles per gallon, which was that in the August proposal, and 32 miles per gallon under the prior administration. And it was down here a little bit further, Pops. I think they were talking about how eventually we need to get to upwards of 50 miles per gallon in our vehicles. It also ties in, obviously, with the big push towards getting rid of miles per gallon as something we've been thinking about. Now we're going to be thinking about charging and wattage and things like that.
Yeah, obviously, if you move towards more electric vehicles, then the EPA guidelines for fleet average miles per gallon changes dramatically. Because nobody says it's there is no EPA guideline that says it has to be 500-mile range between charges for electric vehicles. So if the concept is to improve gas mileage in internal combustion engine vehicles, so that these vehicles create less pollution, um, then obviously the best way to get there is to develop alternate sources of being able to propel cars, whether it be plug-in hybrids, whether it be plug-in electric vehicles, or battery electric vehicles. So obviously the push so far seems to be towards electric vehicles. I believe Toyota spent quite a bit of money at one point in trying to develop hydrogen vehicles. What's that, the
Mm-hmm.
Mercedes or however they
Mm-hmm.
pronounce it. So all the manufacturers are going to have to become more creative and more inventive, and innovative in how they can eke less pollution and more efficiency out of internal combustion engines, while also investing hundreds of billions of dollars into the emerging EV marketplace.
Yeah, and we've documented how much money is going to be spent to push towards electric vehicles. But it says in this article, Dan, I think it's worth discussing a little bit here. It says President Biden wants 50% of all new vehicles sold in 2030 to be electric vehicles or plug-in hybrid models, and that's in conjunction with, when was it? It was by like 2030. Was it 2030 or sometime in the 2030s? The U.S. government fleet will be entirely
I
electric
think by
vehicles.
2035.
2035.
Yes.
There is, and then there were the EV tax credits, which I think eventually, will make it back. Like there will eventually be some form of EV tax credits out there. There's this super obvious push to go towards EV, and now we titled today's stream like, "Why is the U.S. government doing this?" It's also the manufacturers. I think there's the realization that you can probably make more money selling electric vehicles than you could selling ICE vehicles because they're simpler to operate, but consumers are probably still going to buy the extended warranty contracts. They're probably still going to have service. Like, I think there's ways that you can make even more money in an EV world, and people are starting to figure that out. I think that's why there's this push.
Well, some of the headlines that I saw on an email from Automotive News today was that there will be more EV centric F&I product offerings coming in the future. And then I know you've been in touch with some vehicle service contract administrators, talking to them about the products and for vehicle service contracts that will be available for EVs. So yes, there's many ways for the manufacturers to make money, um, but it's going to cost them a lot. I mean, we figured out it was close to $400 billion that OEMs have earmarked as investments into EVs. That's a lot of money, and so there has to be a tremendous amount of innovation tied in with that in order for them to be able to make back those investments and turn it into a real profit center.
There's also, I think, another interest group that's pushing for EVs, and it's a pretty obvious one. I see some of this coming up in the chat. Javed saying we need infrastructure. GMAX saying the infrastructure. You know who else? What other interest group is pushing for more electric vehicles? Take a guess. Who do you think it is?
It was the UAW. United Auto Workers are
Well,
pushing for it.
okay, that is another one. I'm thinking of the power industry, the electricity industry. Like all of your local electricity distributors and the facilities where they produce electricity, they're all gung ho about electric vehicles because it means more and more power is going to be needed.
Absolutely, and it means more and more profits for them. And um, I would imagine the oil industry is probably not quite as thrilled about it.
No.
But yeah, the electric producing companies out there are, they're thinking about this as well. Yeah, we have to upgrade what we can do. The government's going to have to invest in helping to make that happen. um, they're going to share our expense in making that happen. We have to improve the electric grid. But these are all things, when you think about it, ultimately needed to be done anyway. Our so much of our infrastructure in this country is in disrepair, that at some point, it's like a house. When you buy a house, you have to maintain it. You have to do maintenance. Things need to be redone. Roofs need to be redone. There's just things that are going to need maintenance and repair, and our infrastructure within the country needs to be maintained and repaired and upgraded. And this is a good excuse, as good as an excuse as any, to finally invest the dollars that it's going to take to do that. Because we can't continue down the path where bridges are in disrepair and dangerous to travel over and things of that nature.
Yeah, I don't want to get too much into. I want to stay in our lane, the automotive lane. Which
Well,
bridge do you
but
drive
bridges are pretty important in the automotive lane. When those sons of guns collapse, that creates a real headache.
I hear you. I absolutely hear you. Justice with an interesting comment here, and we're going to work on actually a calculator back on the YAA website. Join YAA.com. 46 miles per gallon with at $3.33 a gallon for your gas is $1.09 per mile. An electric vehicle with a 60 kilowatt battery with a 259-mile range is less than a tenth of a cent, or excuse me, a tenth of a dollar, 10 cents per mile. So it's interesting. It's interesting that we can look at this and we can try and figure out what's going to be cheaper, what's going to be more cost effective for consumers as well. It's a neat way to think about this. But regardless of how you look at it, we're going EV. Like, that has become abundantly clear over the last few months here.
And here's the other thing you have to remember, that the innovation that's going to be required within the automobile industry is going to ultimately force the cost of vehicles to continue to go up. Now, what has to happen in order to make this work is for everybody to figure out how much savings there truly is. If somebody said to you it's going to cost you $1,000 more for the vehicle today, but ultimately it will save you $2 or $3 or $4,000 in fuel costs over a 5-year period of time or a 10-year period of time, would you invest that $1,000 to save $5,000? And that's the way the whole process is going to have to be framed. We're going to ask you to invest more today so that ultimately you'll spend less over the next 4 or 5 years. But up front, it's going to cost everybody more.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you loud and clear. Let's switch gears, Pops. Let's talk briefly here about NHTSA and Tesla. This was an interesting article that was on the front page of Automotive News. NHTSA, the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration. I think it's A administration. I think
yes, you are correct.
The headline reads: Tesla in-vehicle gaming feature under investigation. The probe covers about 600,000 Teslas. Pops, I don't know if you were aware of this, but in a Tesla vehicle, let me make sure I get this right, the Model 3, S, X, and Y, Justice in the chat with your Model 3 if you want to comment on this, you could actually play in the car on the big screen that they have Solitaire, a jet fighter game, and a conquest strategy game. You could actually play those games while the car's running.
But allegedly, you have to claim to be the passenger in order to play the games. But it doesn't. There's no reason why the driver couldn't say, "Yeah, I'm the passenger." I mean, what the hell? We got autopilot here. This should be under. Really, you got to be kidding me. It doesn't take a genius. Or maybe it does, apparently. It doesn't
I think
take
the rest of the show is going to be really, you got to be kidding me for all the stuff we have.
Yeah, but maybe it really does take a genius or someone with common sense. And the problem with common sense today is it's just not all that common to realize that you can't have, like, I don't know, an Xbox plugged into your dashboard so that you can be playing games or watching TV while you're driving a vehicle, while it's moving. It's beyond me that nobody said this is not a good idea. There will be people who will abuse the situation. It's like texting and driving. People know better, but they do it. So why tempt them with games that can be played on that giant ass monitor next to the dashboard while the car's moving? I mean, what's the point of that? Why can't we wait till the car's parked, till you're in your home, till you're in your office? Because you can't tell me by playing these games you're being more productive on your drive to work.
So, Dad, it's not just Tesla. It was actually Mercedes on November 29th. They recalled 227 of their 2021 S580s, 2022 EQS 450s, EQS 580s, and the S500. Quote, because the vehicle infotainment systems might allow activation of the television and internet display while driving, causing a distraction for the driver. And it's interesting, NHTSA actually began their investigation into Tesla's passenger play functionality after an Oregon Tesla Model 3 driver wrote in a complaint that said, quote, this creates a dangerous distraction for the driver and is recklessly negligent.
No kidding. I mean, how could executives at Tesla, how could people within the government, how could how could anybody not see that allowing this to happen in a moving vehicle couldn't cause a distraction? I mean, who in their right mind thinks to themselves, "Yeah, no, this is a great idea." No need to actually, I don't know, keep your eyes on the damn road. You know, we got to make sure that fighter jet makes it to wherever the heck it's going. I mean, it's just the level of silliness and stupidity that we see in so many organizations is just beyond belief, that it actually takes the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration to say, maybe this isn't a good idea. Really? Why didn't somebody else say this really might not be a good idea?
I like
Anyone.
this. I like this comment from JNLW. So it's illegal to use your phone while driving, but if it's a Tesla, you can play games on the infotainment screen.
Yeah, yeah.
Fascinating, fascinating. Obviously, you shouldn't be doing that. Found it interesting that NHTSA is now investigating that. And really, what's fascinating is that again, it came from a consumer advocating.
Can I raise my hand and say something? They don't have to investigate it. They have to outlaw it. They have to say you can't have it. It doesn't take spending millions of dollars to investigate to realize that it's wrong, that it can cause real problems. Save the money.
You know, I queued up this sound effect yesterday for Jared Kalfas, who is now the president of Black Book. He was the vice president, got his promotion. But Pops, you deserve it here as well.
Well, thank you, but I'm sorry. The level of stupidity is just unbelievable. That you think, okay, well, now we have to have an investigation to see if you
Playing
know
video
in
games while you're driving is a distraction.
yeah, in your heart of hearts it's absolutely 100% wrong.
Yeah.
There's no investigation needed.
Talking
Turn
about
it off.
things, talking about things that are wrong, Pops. Let me play the sound bit and then let's jump into it.
Okay. Really? You
You
got to
got to
be
be kidding
kidding
me.
me.
All right. I know. Manufacturing a car must be pretty challenging.
It
I've
is.
never done it. I bet you it's
Yes.
kind of hard.
Yes.
This comes from our friends over at Jalopnik, posted yesterday. Look at this hilariously crooked Jeep Wagoneer badge. Wait for it. Wait for it. There it is.
There
Let
it
me
is.
zoom right. There
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. 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 Now, I don't want to suggest to you that whoever placed those letters, at least they got the spelling correct. But whoever did it, whoever affixed those letters, might have been drinking the night before, or perhaps smoked a little doobie before he or she got into their job that day. But there isn't anybody in their right mind that could look at that and go, "Oh yeah, that's perfect."
I mean, you just like how does that happen, Dad? I mean, like, don't they use like tools and they like measure things and have
Allegedly,
and whatnot? I mean,
allegedly
I
they
liked
used.
on the Jalopnik article, they went down a little lower on the page, Pops, and they actually like this is like some high level analysis right here.
Yeah, yeah.
Whoopsies. Yeah, really like where things went off the wagon, for lack of a better term, are the O. The O here just really took them off base.
Well, I don't know. It started with the A. Started an upward movement with the A.
So they actually reached out to someone who's at PR at Jeep. They got a response. The quote from Jeep's PR was, early during the launch of the Wagoneer, Warren Truck did experience some issues with badge alignment. Those issues were corrected at the plant before any vehicles were shipped to customers, including the one pictured in the internal photo. As a permanent solution, hand-applied locating fixtures as well as machine vision systems were installed to verify badge alignment. The plant has a robust vehicle audit process that ensures every vehicle leaving the plant reflects the premium quality of the brand. It's worth mentioning here, I think the Grand Wagoneer, let's actually check it out, Pops. I'm fairly certain, doesn't the Grand Wagoneer start at like $100,000?
Well, I know they can top $100,000. I can tell you a story when I first broke into the business in 1977.
Yeah, these are
When I was
expensive.
working at Ayanaco Motors, which was a Dodge dealer and a Subaru dealer, and we
Yeah.
had a Dodge vehicle come in, a Dodge truck, and on one side it said it was a Dodge, and on the other side it said it was a Chrysler. So, you know, I don't remember exactly how we sold it, but they had two different badgings on the vehicle. Um, but this was at a time when in 1977, when Chrysler and Dodge were notorious for their quality control issues. And the good news was, when we sold a vehicle, we were pretty much assured that we would be in constant contact with our customer, because we would see them weekly for the new recall that came out. So yeah, crazy stuff.
It really, really is. I do want to just take a moment here. So I searched for a Wagoneer back on joinyaa.com. And yes, they are quite expensive, but I just, we got to be fair here. Looks
Hmm.
like that says Grand Wagoneer pretty straight
Yes.
right there. That was pretty good. That looks
Yeah,
pretty good.
that when they're affixed right, they look really good.
These are expensive, man. The total price, out the door price, is going to be around $100,000. A VSC on one of these things, actually not too expensive,
Yeah,
2765. The supply situation here, they're sitting a little bit in our area, which is interesting to see.
yeah. Well, maybe
Uh,
that's because people just aren't ready to spend $100,000 for a Jeep Grand Wagoneer.
okay, so the next thing I want to show you, Dad, in our really, you've got to be kidding me, which is what this Wednesday is turning into. Phil,
Yes.
thank you, Phil, for posting this back on the YAA community forum. Join yaa.com/community. Pops, I got to play. I know you're not on TikTok. I'm on TikTok. I need you to watch this, okay?
You are correct. I am not on TikTok.
Ready?
Yeah, sure.
What to expect when spending $30K on a car from Carvana.
Car balls.
Oh God. Yeah, jeez. So not only will it suddenly have an accident reported on Carfax, but you're probably never getting the title.
Okay, and my favorite part about this is the comments back in the community forum space. Mario hit it out of the park. He said, Carvana is having a bad streak. LOL. Yes, I think this is like the cherry on top for the issues
Yeah.
that they're currently facing.
Oh my God.
Isn't that nuts?
That is sad. They have issues, but as that television reporter in Texas said, they're relatively new to the retail side of things.
In
Just
your
9 years.
experience, in your
Yeah.
experience, Pops, I mean, you've had probably over your career 100,000 cars delivered to you before and taken off of trucks. I mean, issues can happen, right? Like you've seen and had issues happen with cars at delivery.
I've seen vehicles that were delivered on a snowy day, and one kind of slid off the truck. I mean, it just it was a little icy, and it slid and it fell and it was severely damaged. But
Wow.
stuff happens. I mean, stuff happens. The hydraulics fail, and one of the cars that's in the lower section, if the hydraulics failed on one of the ones in the upper section, sometimes they'd get to the dealership and, well, that upper car was really sitting on the roof of the lower car. I mean,
Wow.
it happens. I mean, stuff happens, and
Do those
there's.
things do
Go
those things
ahead.
get reported? Like, where do those things get reported? Where you see that on a Carfax? Like, where does that go?
Well, they get reported to the transportation company, and a claim gets filed, and they pay for it. And that doesn't necessarily mean that the dealership, whatever body shop they're sending it to do the repairs, is filing information with Carfax.
Gotcha.
But if it's over, I think it's the threshold is if a repair is over 3% of the MSRP or 5%. I forget exactly which one it is. Then it has to be disclosed to the buyer. If it's below that threshold, a repair does not have to be disclosed.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's the threshold. I'm just briefly on my end. I'm just like looking up really quickly. Vroom stock is down another 3% today. Carvana stock back up. So it's fascinating. Just it's always fun to kind of click around and see what's going on with those companies because we're so intimately. I mean, every day we're looking at the news associated with these guys. So it's fascinating to see what's happening on a day-to-day basis with them.
Yeah, well, the news is typically not particularly good for either one of them.
Well, I mean, like they keep growing. It's just it's like you get videos like that of cars falling off of.
Well,
Which
well,
also
well
that speaks a little bit to Dad. We know that there are shortages for qualified staff and employees in a variety of professions within automotive. Not just selling cars. Actually, like
yes,
at a minimum, selling cars like technicians. We know that there's a shortage of technicians. There's probably a shortage of drivers and
there
transportation.
are.
Like that poor person, the man or woman, I forget, who was like offloading that it looked like a Hyundai Tiburon. I don't know,
Whatever
whatever
it
it
was.
was.
Yeah.
Like they probably just weren't trained really well, and they're probably new on the job. Like that's an unfortunate reality of what's going on right now.
Yes, and they forgot to make sure that the parking brake was set in the vehicle before they lowered the ramp. They're yes, companies are growing. I get it. I'm growing, but that doesn't always mean it's good. Growth is not always good.
For sure, Pops, for sure. Okay, well, why don't we call it a day? We'll be back tomorrow
Well,
because
can we do one thing? Can we just briefly touch on those F&I numbers that I
oh my
sent you,
gosh, yes, absolutely. Thank you so much
please?
for. Let me pull them up really quick. Can you?
Because it's not just F&I numbers.
No, and actually, how about this? We'll pull it up. This will be tomorrow. What we do a deep dive on, but let's just give people some awareness because yeah, you're right. This is pretty insane. 1 second, it's loading. View entire message. Okay. Yeah, you sent me this like half an hour ago, 45 minutes ago.
Something like that. Yeah.
Oh, you know what, Pops? I posted it on the community forum too. We've got it.
Okay, cool.
Anyway, it's right here.
Okay.
So
So,
you want to break down what the heck we're looking at?
well, what we're looking at is the profit per vehicle, and
That's what PVR
for
stands for.
years, new car front end profit, the profit between dealer cost and what they sold for, has always been next to nothing. Um, so in 2019, the average new car when it was sold at $275 above the dealer's cost. Okay. And that was typical for a long, long time. I mean, dealerships typically made 100, 200, $300 on the front end gross profit of a new car sale. November 2020, that number more than doubled. It was up to $679, which was a huge uptick. 1 year later, it's almost 5 times what it was in 2020. It's up to almost $2,900 front end gross profit. Okay. That's just on the sale of the vehicle. That doesn't include any finance and insurance monies that could be made on top of that. So, in an average dealership today, the F&I profit per vehicle retailed is almost $2,000, which means that the total average new car profit, including F&I, is nearly $5,000. That's insane. I remember when between front end and back end, if we could make $1,000, we were doing great. If you could get $1,500 to $2,000, that would might make the new car department actually profitable. At $5,000, they're raking in money like they never have before. Now, obviously, the issue is that they might be selling a third of the number of cars that they were selling before because of inventory shortages. But if you were selling 30 cars before and you were averaging $1,000, that was $30,000 in gross. If you're selling 10 cars now, but you're averaging $5,000 per car, your gross profit has gone from 30,000 to 50,000. So they have figured out how to make more money on fewer sales, and dealerships have cut their expenses so that the net profit is higher for dealerships today than it has been probably in the history of automotive retail. those numbers are just staggering.
Yeah, so like I said, let's dive into that deep
Sure.
tomorrow because if you think that that's not going to stay the same way that it is, it will. And so let's break down kind of what's happening and in the direction we think it's going. But tune in tomorrow at noon. We'll be on
Yes.
tomorrow. Then Pops, Christmas Eve on, I guess that's Friday. Do you want to do a
Yes.
show? I'm game to do a show if you're up to do a show.
Well, I got nowhere to be.
I got nowhere to be. All right, so we'll do a show on Christmas Eve. Christmas Day, I don't know. I guess, do you want to take Christmas Day off? We can take Christmas Day. Or we could do a stream on Christmas. What do you want? Let us know in the chat. Let us know in the form.
Well,
Email.
Christmas is Saturday.
Yep.
Why anybody might want to watch us Saturday night, I don't know. But if they've had enough of opening presents and spending time with their family, and
Let's
they
do
need
a
a
Christmas
break,
special. Yeah, let's do a
Yeah.
Christmas special. That'd
so
be
yeah, maybe they'd want to spend an hour or so with this Saturday night.
I think that'd be fun. My again, girlfriend gone with her family, so I got nothing, literally nothing to do. So I think we should do a.
I really appreciate how you lean on me when your girlfriend's gone, and then suddenly I become important in your life again. And come on, let's do a show, Dad.
Yeah, let's do a 2-hour show on Saturday.
No,
Let's
there's
do a
football
3-hour
game.
show.
There's a football game Saturday night. The Cardinals are playing. Yeah, you can do
They
the
play at
4
night. They play at night.
Yeah, 8:15, buddy.
Okay, yeah, we'll go for
Not
an hour.
that they're going to win, but yeah.
Oh, Neil says Christmas special. Pick a non-car topic to talk about. Yeah, you know what? Let's do that. Actually, let's talk
Okay.
Zach with no leash.
Yeah.
We some of the original content on the Ray and Zach channel are like us just chit chatting about life and things like that. So maybe we'll do like a combo of car talk and some life stuff. Anyway, we'll figure it out. Saturday night we'll be on. Tomorrow we'll be here. Friday we'll be here. I'm glad we're not skipping a beat, Dad. I love doing this with you.
Me too. Holidays or not, we're here. We're here for you or
I
something.
love it, Dad.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, Pops. I will talk to you later on today. Enjoy the day. Don't get too cold. And yeah, talk to you later.
I think I'm going to go make some lunch.
Start at 6 instead of 7. I like that. I'm game for
Okay,
that.
we could do that. Yeah, that way we could be on for 2 hours. Oh God. Okay.
Love you, Pops.
I love you too. I'll talk to you. 3:00?
Yeah, we got a meeting then. I'll see you then.
You got it.
Bye.
Bye.